Raw started like any other night, the WWE Universe buzzing with energy, but no one was prepared for the chaos, heartbreak, and pure shock that would unfold. Becky Lynch, the irresistible force, the Raw Women's Champion, the woman who carried the division on her back for years, had just entered the ring and the audience roared in anticipation. The fans cheered, chanting her name, their voices echoing like a storm across the arena. Becky! 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 She entered with confidence, her championship glistening under the lights, and the crowd could feel it. Becky was ready to defend her honor, her legacy, her very identity as the Queen of Raw. Her opponent, a rising star determined to make a statement, circled her with intent, and the bell rang. The match started intense. Becky moved with her usual precision, avoiding devastating strikes, countering with technical mastery, and showing the raw emotion and skill that made her a fan favorite. The crowd roared with every move, every suplex, every perfectly executed DDT. But then, in an instant, everything changed. During a high-risk maneuver, a springboard dive from the top rope, Becky landed awkwardly. The arena fell silent for a split second as she screamed in pain. She collapsed, clutching her knee, her face contorted with agony. The referee immediately called for the medical team, and the fans erupted into panic and confusion. Nobody could believe what they were seeing. The commentators went silent for a moment, trying to process what had happened. Corey Graves, voice trembling, whispered, "That did not look good, that did not look good at all." Michael Cole added, his tone cracking with disbelief, "Becky Lynch might have just sustained a career-threatening injury. This could change everything for the Raw Women's Championship." Medical staff rushed to the ring, surrounding Becky, helping her to her feet, but it was clear she couldn't walk properly. Her injury wasn't minor. Her screams, her face, the pain etched into every movement told the fans everything. The arena erupted in chants of "Get up, Becky," but she could only shake her head, tears streaming down her face. Backstage, WWE officials were scrambling. Cameras caught Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and other superstars watching in shock, whispering to each other. Some faces turned pale, some shook their heads in disbelief. Becky had carried Raw for years, and now, in a split second, everything seemed to hang by a thread. Social media exploded within minutes. Fans uploaded GIFs, clips, and reaction videos. Tweets poured in. "Becky's career is at risk. How could this happen? This isn't fair. She was unstoppable." Every WWE fan felt the anguish in that arena. The commentary team continued to provide updates. Doctors were evaluating her knee, the diagnosis would take hours, but insiders were already hinting at the worst-case scenario: Becky Lynch might have to relinquish the Raw Women's Championship. The rest of the Raw show proceeded cautiously. Her opponent, visibly shaken, circled the ring but didn't attempt to continue. The referee and medical team raised Becky's hand, but it wasn't a celebration, it was a gesture of respect and solidarity. Fans stood in silent ovation, some crying, many shouting Becky's name in support. The commentators, trying to maintain composure, described the scene as heartbreaking and potentially career-altering. Backstage, the fallout was immediate. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H huddled with WWE medical staff, discussing the injury. Triple H's face was grim. "We may be looking at a title relinquishment," he said. "If Becky can't compete for the foreseeable future, we have to start planning." The camera cut to backstage shots of Becky being wheeled into the medical bay, her eyes filled with tears but her chin held high. She hadn't given up yet, but the severity of her injury was apparent. Meanwhile, rumors began circulating about who could possibly fill the void if Becky was forced to vacate the championship. Names like Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, and Asuka were thrown into the mix. But no one could deny the anger and frustration that fans felt. Becky had been robbed not by another wrestler, but by a cruel twist of fate. Social media posts exploded with fury. "This isn't right, Becky deserved another year as champion, who is going to take her spot? Nobody can fill that void." The segment ended with footage of Becky being supported by WWE officials, her championship belt draped across her shoulder, the camera zooming in on her face, a mixture of pain, fear, and determination. Corey Graves said quietly, "Becky Lynch might have lost the ring tonight, but she's not going to lose her heart. Not ever." The night closed with fans worldwide debating, sharing clips, and demanding updates. WWE had just suffered a huge loss, not only in terms of competition but in terms of storylines and fan loyalty. Becky Lynch, the irrepressible champion, had been struck down, and the WWE Universe was left in shock and outrage. This wasn't just an injury, it was a potential career-altering moment that shook the very foundations of WWE. The Raw Women's Championship, the prestige, the legacy of Becky Lynch, it all hung in the balance. And the question on everyone's lips was simple: would Becky Lynch ever fight again? Or had we just witnessed a tragedy in real time, one that could change the future of WWE forever? The WWE Universe woke up the next morning to breaking news: Becky Lynch had been officially evaluated, and the reports were devastating. Multiple sources confirmed what fans feared most: the injury was severe, career-threatening, and recovery could take months if not longer. The announcement hit social media like a bomb. Fans flooded Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit with shock and outrage. Hashtags like #PrayForBecky, #QueenOfRaw, and #BeckyDeservesBetter trend worldwide. The outpouring of support was immediate and overwhelming. Fans shared clips of her iconic moments, her title wins, her epic matches. They reminded the world of what she meant to WWE and how cruel fate had been. Backstage at WWE headquarters, the scene was tense. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and the medical team were deep in discussion. The decision had to be made. With Becky unable to compete, the Raw Women's Championship could not remain in limbo. For the first time in years, the belt would be vacated. The WWE announcers delivered the news live on Raw, trying to maintain composure but unable to hide the grief in their voices. Michael Cole said, his tone heavy with emotion, "This is a moment no one wanted." Becky Lynch, the irresistible force, the champion who redefined the women's division, is going to relinquish the Raw Women's Championship due to injury. Corey Graves added, "It's heartbreaking. Becky's journey, her reign, it's been extraordinary. But tonight, we face the reality of her condition." The crowd erupted in a mix of boos, cries, and chants of Becky. Becky! Becky! Fans were furious not at Becky, but at the cruel circumstances that had robbed her of her reign. Every superstar backstage felt it, too. The locker room was filled with whispered conversations, some shaking their heads, some visibly angry, some teary-eyed. Women like Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley looked solemn, realizing the championship scene had just been turned upside down. Becky Lynch herself released a statement via WWE's social media channels. Her words were heartfelt and raw. "I've fought through injuries, I've defied the odds, and I've carried this title with pride. But this time, my body won't allow me to continue. Relinquishing the Raw Women's Championship is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. To my fans, thank you for believing in me. This isn't the end, it's just another challenge I'll overcome." The fans erupted, sharing her words, praising her resilience, and expressing their outrage at the situation. Forums exploded with anger. "How could this happen to her? WWE better honor Becky properly, she didn't deserve this." The worldwide audience was united in grief and fury. Backstage, reactions were even more intense. Charlotte Flair approached Stephanie McMahon, demanding that the next Raw Women's Championship storyline be done with respect for Becky. "She deserves to be honored," Charlotte said. "We can't just move on like this. Fans won't forgive that." Rhea Ripley nodded silently, fists clenched, realizing she had a moral obligation to uphold Becky's legacy. Even Damian Priest and JD McDonough watched the news, shaken, understanding how an injury to a top star like Becky disrupted the entire division and storylines. The relinquishment of the title set off a firestorm of speculation. Who would step up to claim the vacated championship? Fans debated endlessly online. Rhea Ripley? Charlotte Flair? Asuka? Shayna Baszler? Nobody could match Becky's aura or her connection with the WWE Universe, and fans were vocal about it. Every post and video highlighted the anger and frustration at a system that had allowed one of the greatest champions to be sidelined by misfortune. Raw that week opened with a tribute segment. Clips of Becky's iconic moments played on the Titantron, her victories, her bold promos, her legendary matches. Commentary highlighted her career-defining feats, calling her one of the greatest to ever step in the ring. The crowd responded with a standing ovation, tears and chants filling the arena, expressing not only love but collective outrage that her reign had ended not in a storybook conclusion, but through a brutal, unforeseen injury. In-ring, WWE officials presented Becky's championship belt to the camera, symbolic but empty-handed now. The announcers described the scene as somber, calling it a chapter closed too soon. The fans' chants of "Thank you, Becky" resonated across the arena, while online, posts multiplied exponentially, praising her courage, her spirit, and her legendary contributions. But this heartbreak also set the stage for a chaotic women's division. Without Becky at the helm, a power vacuum emerged. Raw would need a new champion, new rivalries, and storylines that could never replace what she represented. The anger among fans, however, guaranteed that whoever stepped into the title picture would be compared relentlessly to the Queen of Raw. WWE officials scrambled to craft storylines that respected Becky's legacy while keeping viewers engaged. Meanwhile, rumors of Becky's long-term prognosis circulated. Some sources indicated she may need surgery and months of rehabilitation. The speculation alone drove fans to fury. Social media erupted with calls for WWE to ensure Becky's spot in history was honored properly. Clips of her high-impact moves, title defenses, and promos flooded timelines worldwide, as if the fans themselves were trying to immortalize her reign. The segment closed with a final, haunting message from the commentary team. Corey Graves said, voice cracking slightly, "Becky Lynch might have lost the championship tonight, but she will never lose her spirit. She is, and always will be, the Queen of Raw." Michael Cole added, "And the WWE Universe will make sure her legacy is never forgotten." This is heartbreak, but it's also a story of resilience and courage that will inspire for generations. For fans, for wrestlers, for WWE itself, Becky Lynch's injury was more than a physical setback. It was a seismic moment in WWE history, an event that would be remembered for years. A champion had been forced to relinquish her crown not because of defeat in the ring, but because life, fate, and circumstance demanded it. And while the women's division moved forward, the outrage, heartbreak, and anger among the WWE Universe guaranteed that Becky Lynch's reign would never be forgotten. The future of the Raw Women's Championship was uncertain, the division was in turmoil, and the fans were furious, but one truth remained undeniable: Becky Lynch had lost everything, yet somehow, in the process, she had solidified her place as a legend.